Chapter 8 May Queen. Kay pushed past the guards and into the throne room. "That old humbug is up to something again," he shouted. Kay was always too loud. The bratch stood up and, stiff-legged, made her way to the door, where a guard let her out. Kay was still speaking. "Isn't he? Isn't he?" He came right up to the steps of the throne, but stopped there, his respect for majesty overcoming his eagerness to learn what Merlinus had been saying. Arthur sighed, a real sigh this time, not a cover for a yawn. His stepbrother often affected him that way. He loved Kay and was exasperated with him in equal measure. Merlinus had a dream, that is all. He was careful not to mention anything about spies. Kay mulled that over for a moment, his hand toying with the silver brooch on his tunic before asking, "A dream about the assassins? We need to think about them, Arthur. We need to plan." Arthur shook his head. "Not the assassins." "A new dream or an old one?" Kay asked. "One he says he dreamed 3 times in a row," said Arthur. "Then it's true. It's true. You know it's true. Or will become true soon enough. Anything dreamed 3 times in a row is—" His voice echoed loudly in the room. "Is not necessarily true," Arthur said. "But everyone knows—" Kay abruptly stopped talking. He knew what Arthur's response would be. The same thing that Merlinus had tried to drum into both of their heads when they were boys. "Not necessarily true in every particular," Arthur said. "Besides, there's no knowing if he dreamed the dream or simply said he dreamed it. He lies all the time, Kay, though always with good purpose. And that purpose is the good of the kingdom. So I cannot call him on those lies. I can only listen and try to get at what it is he wants me to get at." Kay ground his teeth. It was not one of his more pleasant responses. "I worry about how well I can figure things out," Arthur continued. "I wish he would just say what he means straight." Kay pouted. "You always listen to him and not to me, Arthur. He is the liar, and I never lie, so you should listen to me. Besides, blood is supposed to be thicker than water. We are step-brothers, Kay. We share no blood. You know what I mean." There was a whine in his voice now, a loud whine. It grated on Arthur's ears. Arthur nodded. "I know, Kay, and I do value you. You are my oldest companion, my dearest friend." It was true up to a point, but Arthur knew better than to go further. Conversations with Kay always tended to go off the track and into the woods. "But, brother, it is time to get on with the day's business. The real business, not a mage's dream business. And not a silly worry about assassins who may or may not be arriving. Remember, though, I have already ruled on 2 ducks." He hesitated, recalling Merlinus's correction. "Belly met with 5 tribal chiefs from the north. Considered 1 large lady and 1 impossible cook. I am not in a good mood. Luncheon would be a fine idea, and the sooner the better. It is not near time for eating," Kay said loudly. "There would be a riot in the hall if I told the crowd out there that you wanted to eat instead of rendering judgment. Some of them have been waiting 3 days now." He pursed his lips. "But before we get to all that, I have something to make you happy." Arthur smiled at that, or at least he shows his teeth. He looked more like a bear, which is what his name really meant, than a man when he smiled that way. It was a smile he reserved for people who annoyed him, and his stepbrother Kay. Not like that. A real smile. Kay understood some things, though it always surprised Arthur when he did. Reaching down the front of his tunic, Kay pulled out a piece of parchment. "The men did not like who was chosen for May Queen this year, and they have made a list of those qualities they think she should possess, so we will be better prepared next year." He handed the parchment to Arthur. Arthur read aloud slowly. Reading did not come easy to him, not the way riding or swordplay did, and he pronounced each word carefully. Also, the slower he read, the fewer judgments he would have time for. "The things small, head, nose, breasts. The things large, waist, hips, calves. The things long, hairs, fingers, thighs. The things short, height, toes, utterance." "Sounds more like an animal in a bestiary than a girl," Arthur ventured at last, "and I am not sure of your spelling." "It is better than yours," said Kay, which was true. Arthur leaned forward. "And what is wrong with this year's choice? A nice girl, I thought. Sweet. She is a pig farmer's daughter, Kay said sniffly, and she giggles. Arthur sucked at his teeth, something he only did when he was annoyed. We all raise pigs, Kay. That we pay someone else to clean the sty does not make us the better. And where in this list does it say, giggle small? Kay's hand went to his mustache. I am not fooled, you know, Arthur said. Kay gazed at the ceiling, which Arthur recognized as his attempt to look innocent. I do not know what you mean. I know the companions are trying to find me a bride. Everyone in court from the cook's boy on up is looking out for the right girl. But I do not want one of those temporary marriages, a handfast for a year and a day. And Kay seemed to have found something very interesting in the ceiling, because he was staring at it. I am not like Queen Maeve of Connacht to change consorts so often that I never have a mate, but there is another in her shadow. And the ceiling must have been utterly fascinating. Kay could not let it go. And I want something more than a list of things small and large, Arthur said. I want, but he stopped, because for the life of him, he did not know what he wanted in a bride. Beauty, wit, intelligence, loyalty, honesty, a large dowry, a good family, a long patience, a gift for song. It was puzzle for certain. Whoever became his bride would also become the queen at his side. Not a May Queen to serve for the planting fest until solstice Eve, but a queen for all seasons. Someone to talk to confide in, to share interests, someone who could make him laugh. He rarely had anything to laugh at now that he was king. The list the men had drawn up did not speak to that kind of queen. He wondered if there was any list that could. The men are trying, Arthur, said Kay, by which he meant that he was trying and had gotten the men to go along with him. Kay could often bed certain kinds of men to his will. Very trying, Arthur replied quietly and smiled. This time it was a real smile, because he, like Merlinus, had gotten off a real last line. But still gazing at the ceiling, Kay did not seem to notice Arthur's last line. Indeed, Kay had little sense of humor, especially where it touched upon himself. All right, then, Arthur said, and sighed. So much for last lines. Send in the next petitioner. Eager to be doing something official, Kay went back to the door and ushered in a white-bearded man wearing gray woolen breeches and a tunic tied with a leather thong at his waist. Clearly he had not dressed up for his interview with the king. He was carrying a very large bag of millet in his arms.